Hello everyone and welcome to the video. In this video we're going to go over the lore of Silvanus the Oakfather, as well as how you can bring him into your campaigns. Without further ado, let's get started. Silvanus himself is a very powerful deity, a greater deity in fact, and has domain over nature and the wilds. And while we talk of the deity hierarchy, him being a greater deity means that he has domain over all aspects of nature. So while there might be lesser deities that work with certain aspects of nature, Silvanus himself tends to nature itself. Due to his large stature in the divine hierarchy, he has many followers, and many of them are usually orders of druids, nature domain clerics, and anyone else that has a strong affinity and care for the wilderness, wildlife, and preserving it. While other sorts of nature-related deities might have closer affiliations to like harvests and gardening and just like specific plants or trees, Silvanus represents the more wild, all-encompassing aspects of nature. The untamed forests and wilderness were sacred to Silvanus, and he made that painfully clear. The balance and order of nature is incredibly important to him, and he didn't care what needed to happen in order for that balance to be maintained, even if this meant catastrophe and misfortune for others. Due to his neutral, near emotionless execution of keeping nature in check, it made many view him as a heartless and even a wrathful god. But the truth is he deeply cared about nature and life, which is why he fought so hard to keep it in balance all the time. And whenever he needed to bring something in nature back into balance, he either sent his worshippers to fix it, or he sent one of his personal avatars to. Now all deities have avatars that allow them to manifest on the material plane and enact their will, and Silvanus in particular had three: the Old Father, the Young Strider, and the Horned Hunter. The Old Father is described as an old bearded man's face among the trees. It gives off very strong green man or even Mother Willow vibes. The flesh and the skin of the face was always described as being made from the tree's wood itself, and the tree it would appear from was always an incredibly large and old tree. Now the second form was the Young Strider. This form is described as being much more lithe, slim, nimble seeming, and honestly, based on the descriptions, kinda lanky. The Young Strider was also depicted as a long-limbed man with a suit of armor made from leaves and foliage, and was usually armed with a mallet. This was the form that he would go into to defend what was sacred to him. And the third and final form Silvanus took was the Horned Hunter. For those out there who are familiar with the concept of fauns and satyrs, this form strongly resembled that. The Horned Hunter took the form of a deathly silent man with deer antlers, coarse brown fur, and piercing white eyes. When he would appear, he wouldn't say anything, only point or nod in a certain direction, and then when you look back from wherever he was gesturing to, he'd be gone. In regards to his social life, he was a god who didn't really have many allies, but also didn't really have many enemies either. And this is something that tracks pretty consistently with him over the course of D&D's 5 editions. He didn't really have much going on with his social life simply because he was a fairly neutral god and very aloof. He wasn't concerned with the growth of civilizations and the agendas of the other gods and their politics and drama. He just wanted to tend to his plants and forests, which, honestly, I can respect. Typically, his allies consisted of other non-evil deities of nature and beasts, and if you're using a homebrew campaign, you can insert those as you will. But if you're doing something that's tied a bit closer to the Forgotten Realms, there are a few who call Silvanus an ally. For example, we've got Lathander, the Morning Lord, Shantae, the Earth Mother, Eldith, the Mother Guardian of the Groves, Mieleki, Mistress of the Forest, and Shiala, the Dancer in the Glades. Shantae, however, shares a particular closeness to Silvanus, but not in the way you'd expect. Not to say like a kinship, but more of a similarity. She's thought to be a more tame version of Silvanus. Her portfolio was more of the calm and nurturing aspects of nature, whereas Silvanus was more of the raw primalness. But all of these nature deities share similar portfolios and care deeply about the balance of nature itself. And Silvanus would usually only consider gods and beings enemies of him if they would wantonly create destruction and upset the balance of nature. He was a strong enemy of Telona, the Lady of Poison, Talos, the Destroyer, Moander, the Darkbringer, and Malar, the Beast Lord. Looking at Silvanus' abilities, him and his avatars had the ability to interact with and manipulate nature. He could make plants, animals, and fungi grow or shrink, come to his aid or the aid of his followers, and even summon sylvan creatures to aid him too. It was even said he could control different aspects of the weather. And just as you'd expect from someone so obsessed with nature, according to the 5th edition cosmology, Silvanus was said to live in a realm known as the Deep Forest and Summer Oak. This realm was described as towering woods and wild forests that were completely untouched by civilization, which perfectly fits this incredibly aloof, wanting to be by himself, neutral god. So now, bringing all that we have together, if you're a DM and want to somehow include Silvanus in your games, there's a lot here to work with. So you have 2 main sides to Silvanus, and you can swing these however you want. He'll either appear as a benevolent force or a wrathful one. Looking on the more benevolent side first, he'll likely be someone that's trying to cultivate growth, even if he's going to be more of a stand-back kind of ally. A little bit more hands-off. Maybe the campaign you're creating has a large forest that the players call home and often find themselves needing to defend or journey into. Silvanus would likely be a supporter for your party if this forest meant a great deal to him, or perhaps your party has been caught in a hardcore survival campaign. The party struggles to survive and gather resources and will greatly accept anything they can find, even the unlikely help from a nature god. Maybe he'll be leading them around to other sorts of groves and resources that they can use to survive with. Now, shifting to a more malevolent light, Silvanus is known to be a bit destructive when the balance of nature has been disturbed, as I've said in the video. So maybe in your campaign, if you want to take this route, Silvanus decides to go on a rampage simply because he's trying to right wrongs done to the forests. Maybe the city your party has been staying in as a base of operations is under siege because Silvanus has grown angry at how civilization has expanded onto his groves. The developers of the city are thinking of expanding their influence by gaining new lands and territory from the lands they're claiming, but as a result, nature itself is angry and striking back. It puts the players in a tricky spot because neither of the forces they're caught in the middle of are truly evil. One is just defending their home and what they love, whereas the other is thinking only of how new lands and resources will innovate the lives of the city's residents. So in this campaign, it'll have to be up to the players to try and find a way to mediate peace between this powerful deity and the ruling forces of the city. As always though, you are more than welcome to use these above ideas for your own campaign, and I hope that this lore helped you build your worlds a little bit more. If you liked the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing for even more content. See you again next time.